Hello everyone, I'm Tom, welcome to my shed. It's been a long time since I posted a video, so I thought I'd say hi and thank you to the people who have subscribed for some reason. Because I know I don't exactly produce high quality content, but whatever. I find it funny with some of the comments I've gotten on some of my videos, and people are just like, you know, just typical internet people. Like, you suck. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I enjoy posting these little videos occasionally, so if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. I hope you guys are well. It's been really nice weather the past few days. We've had a Chinook blow in from the Rocky Mountains across the prairies. I live in Alberta, and it's been really warm, so it's all the snow is melted. Because it's the new year, I definitely have that gardening itch where I want to start getting out and doing, getting stuff in the ground, but I know it's still too soon, and yeah. But I got my seeds ordered. I'm just waiting for them to come in the mail. So, something I've never talked about before is the different kinds of garden tools that I use the most, which I think are pretty important to have. If you didn't have any tools, I'd say the one thing to buy would be a good shovel. I really like this old school, good quality, long handled shovel. Okay. A Gravedigger shovel. I find this works a lot better than a spade. Let me get it out here. Like these little ones back here, the smaller handles. This big long-handled shovel, you get a lot of leverage on the top. So for planting trees, for digging a hole, for breaking new ground, I would always grab that one first. And then really for other tasks in the garden, for even digging up crops, like, yeah, a garden fork would be a better approach, but you could definitely use a shovel to dig up potatoes, dig up carrots, dig up other plants, turn over the compost heap, shovel compost around. And I think kind of older tools, if you can find some secondhand or that way you save money. And I think maybe I'm just biased, but I feel like things used to be made higher quality. The trend has been to get costs cut down, so things tend, I think a lot is cheaper steel, cheaper wood, and they just don't last as long. And if it's secondhand and it's been put through a lot and it's still in good working shape, then you already have the quality assurance kind of built in. Say a fork and a garden rake, those are important too. And definitely with tools, that old kind of, you get what you pay for. So rather than buying a whole bunch of cheaper tools all at once, just maybe try and save up and just buy less tools, but really good quality ones. Because, if you save money now, kind of you pay for it later. A lot of my tools I inherited after a family member passed away. So I was lucky in that sense. I didn't have to go out and spend a bunch of money. I like this garden fork because it's very solid construction. This part that joins the handle, it's all one nice metal piece. And this thing's very solid for breaking up new ground. But I do have this other fork which was my great-grandfather's. It's all wooden handled, and the tines have worn down to very sharp points. So it's been put in the ground a few times. But I'm more careful with this tool because it has sentimental value. So I don't really lever on the handle, because if I broke the handle, I could replace it, but it would be a different tool. So yeah, I like old tools. This is kind of cool to think about, especially if it's a family member or something. You think about all the use that they've gone through, and yeah. So garden fork, garden rake. Try to get the best quality you can afford. Another tool which has helped me a lot is this big scoop shovel. For moving a lot of stuff, you can't beat a big scoop. For gravel or mulch or soil, any of that kind of stuff, even snow. I was putting a bunch of snow before it melted into the beds in the garden, and where the wind kind of packs it down and it drifts up, you can have a hell of a time with just a plastic bladed snow shovel. So you have that metal one and it cuts into really compacted snow like nothing, and it's gonna last. You'd have to go some to break that shovel. Yeah. So that scoop shovel's definitely helped me, but I could get by without it. It's just, it helps. Then I have lots of hose back here, but I don't really use them that much. Most of my growing is in raised beds, and I mostly just use my hands. I think lots of hose and bigger tools are more for like a row garden kind of old school approach, which is fine, but it's more labor intensive. The raised bed philosophy is kind of no dig kind of gardening, that you get really good soil and you just add compost and mulch to the top of the bed each year, and you don't really get in there and till it up or turn it over. You just leave it alone and let it do its thing. So, but I still, my soil's not great. So like with potatoes, carrots, beets, lots of plants, to get them up out of the ground, I use my garden fork. And without fail, I always stab some potatoes. I think a lot of gardeners know that disappointment when you think you're outside the potato range. You stab your fork in, and you kind of know right away. It's like I stabbed some potatoes, didn't I? And yeah, you pull it up, and there they are on the end of your fork. But that's okay. You just have more potatoes to eat for supper that night. So yeah, garden fork, garden rake. But like I said, you just kind of make those tasks easier, like spreading mulch around with a rake. If you didn't have a rake, it would be hard. Use your feet or the shovel, but a rake helps for gathering up all kinds of stuff. Where I live, I don't have any trees, so I do have a leaf fork, but really I only use that when I go scavenge leaves from parks around town and stuff like that. Yes, I am that weird gardener who goes and collects leaves and stuff from parks and other places around the city. So, yeah, like I said, I don't really use the hose very much, but one hoe which I do like using is this guy. Jeez. I can find it. I say it's right here, right in front of me. It's basically just a blade on a handle. And it needs cleaning up and sharpening, like a lot of my tools. Like kind of once a year, I oil the handles just with like any kind of vegetable oil, and then same with the metal parts. After I clean and sharpen, I just put some oil on them. But yeah, This sharp hoe is great for weeding. You can just stand and just cut around your plants. Just drag this through the soil, and it just cuts right through stems, and you can get out most weeds with this. And yeah, so this hoe I've come to appreciate more and more each year. When you get that thing nice and sharp, makes weeding not as big of a labor kind of task. And yeah, I like to do intensive kind of square foot gardening. So I try as much as possible to just have my vegetable crops and not have much exposed soil for weeds to grow. Again, that's kind of the more row garden kind of approach, where you have a lot of exposed soil and walkways that you have to kind of tend to. And then I use mulch too around my plants. Dried grass. I find just a thin layer around all kinds of plants does great at keeping some of the weeds down, keeping moisture in, adding material to the plants, to the soil. Then there's a trowel. I've never really had a very good trowel, so the ones I've had in the past, I've ended up bending them, or even I've broken handles off entirely. So I think that's really just because I was using a trowel in place of where I should have grabbed a shovel or a bigger tool. Really, a trowel is, unless you buy a very expensive one, it's more for light tasks. And like I said, I mostly use my hands. If I'm just making a very small hole for a transplant, I just use my hands to dig. I had a medical check done for a job at the end of the summer, and I had to lift a certain amount of weight and have my vision tested, which I barely passed because I need new glasses. But the nurse, he's asking me lots of questions, and I had to move my arms and hands all around. He's kind of checking me over, and he saw that my hands were all chewed up from a summer of gardening. And he's told me that I should wear gloves when I garden because I could get infections in my cuticles from the soil. So I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. Like we do with medical professionals. But I don't think I'm gonna start wearing gloves anytime soon, which some people might think that's kind of dumb, but I like getting my hands in the soil. I like feeling it. It's part of the enjoyment for me. But if you don't want to have wrecked hands, or if you're worried about getting stuff up under your cuticles, then yeah, a good pair of gloves would go a long way. And a good quality trowel. Kind of for small tasks, I do have a small little shovel. Small little spade, really. This guy here. It's not a little handle. You know, you can get down and dig with it. But like I said, you can really get by with most things just with a regular shovel. If I'm going to be putting in a tomato plant, like I try to grow my tomatoes pretty big before I put them outside. So I'll just quickly dig a pretty decent sized hole with a shovel in my bed. I don't do lots of small little transplants of plants. I tend to try and just direct sow as much stuff as possible. But if you like doing that, if you like putting out lots of little flowers or little transplants, then yeah, a good trowel would be a good investment. Something that's really comfortable in your hand and really good quality, because like I said, a lot of the cheap trowels, it doesn't take much to bend or break those handles. And then something that's not really talked about as a garden tool per se, but I use it all the time in the garden, is a knife. A good gardening knife. I have this fairly cheap Mora knife. I believe it's called the Companion or something like that. And I got it off Amazon. I think it was around $20 to $25 Canadian, so it's fairly cheap, and it's just carbon steel. So one of the things when you're looking at knives for outdoor use, people say, or some I was reading, that you should buy a stainless knife so it doesn't rust. But really, all of my garden tools are just regular kind of steel, carbon steel that rust. And with this knife, the amount it rusts is pretty minimal. As long as I'm conscious about not putting it away in the sheath, a whole bunch of water on it, I don't notice much rust building up on this thing. And if it does, I just clean it off pretty quick, scouring pad or, any kind of light abrasive. And yeah, really good knife. I really recommend Mora knives. I know a lot of people know about Mora, but I think for the price and the quality, it's pretty hard to beat. But like a lot of tools, just get what's comfortable for you. I like the sheath too that this knife comes with. This clip that you can easily put it on and take it off your belt. You don't have to take your whole belt off. And having a knife on your belt that you can take out, cutting whatever, any kind of crop that I'm harvesting or doing some initial prep, taking tops off plants, this works great. And it's pretty easy to sharpen the carbon steel. Some stainless knives that I have, it can be a bit more of a process to get a sharp edge on there. So yeah, carbon steel knife, Mora, I'd recommend it. Made in Sweden, good quality. So yeah, having a good garden knife, I think, is a good tool to have. Pruners and stuff like that, I don't tend to use pruners that much, which some people might think that's a bit strange, but I find I can use this knife for a lot of those tasks. But if I had more bushes, more stuff like that growing out here, then yeah, a good set of pruners would definitely be worth their weight in gold, so to speak. But yeah, just a little kind of video on tools, and I hope you guys are well, and Happy New Year, and take care. Bye. And of course, you gotta have a nice flat gardening cap so you look the part. So I figured I'd at least show you guys kind of how the garden's doing out here, which isn't much. I apologize for the wind. It might be really bad. I might not even be able to include this part in the video. It's always windy out here. If you live on the prairies, you just have to get used to the wind. And it makes those days when it's not windy, you appreciate it a lot more. But yeah, all the snow is melted. Bags of compost stuff to compost just kind of chilling over there. But I don't really have any problems with mice, not very often. And Alberta, we don't have many rats. We used to say Alberta is rat free, which is a bunch of BS, because then they found a whole bunch of rats at the Medicine Hat landfill. So we do have rats. They're just not very common compared to other places around the world, but we do have lots of mice. But there's lots of predatory birds, coyotes, and rattlesnakes, and I know they're not active really this time of year, but there's a lot of predators out here, wild cats and stuff like that keep the mice population down. The sun's just setting over there. So yeah, bags of stuff ready to be composted. And it's lots of exposed snow. All that snow I piled in is gone. Just a little bit little bit out in that bed. So yeah, hopefully I'll be getting some stuff in the ground sooner rather than later. I suppose I should give you guys a little view of the shed. I think my dad did a pretty good job on it. I helped him as I could, but not any kind of carpenter. He's not really either. He's just, you know, he's learned how to do things by getting out there and doing them. So I respect that a lot. I've learned a lot from him. So yeah, just an extra little bit on the video. Okay, bye.